In January of 2019, a chilling video was uploaded by a rural homestead channel called Capper Outdoors. The creator of that channel is a man named Capper, who traded city life for acres of quiet countryside in southern Missouri. But on this stretch of land, something very strange unfolded one winter that set off a chain of events that would leave more questions than answers. On a snowy night in mid-January, his security camera captured a silver car racing past his bedroom window and onto his land at high speed. A moment later, it disappeared into the darkness. The next morning before sunrise, Capper's wife was heading to work when she noticed footprints crossing the property in the dark. She took photos and sent them to Capper right away, and when he saw them, he knew someone had been moving around his land that night. From the car, and now the prints, Capper didn't waste time and went straight out to investigate the tracks.
My wife saw fresh tracks on her way out from work this morning in the driveway. So I came out here a little while later. I was going to be leaving. So I started tracking them. They came all the way from the pole barn, and they were headed out towards the road. So let me show you a clip of that. All right, here's these tracks fresh on the 22nd of January. Looks like they were dragging something. Here's the pond. In the middle there, you can see drag marks. And the origination is by the pole barn. There's no other tracks. That's where they start, almost like somebody was dropped off.
As Capper followed the tracks, he became convinced the man was still on his land. That's when it hit him that this person could have been lurking just feet away from his wife while she was taking photos of the footprints. He kept moving along the driveway, following the trail step by step, until he finally came face to face with the man hiding by a tree.
What do you mean going for a walk?
Started out and go for a walk.
Where do you live?
Downtown.
What's your name? Are you okay, man?
Yeah, I just wanted to get away from my wife for a while.
Okay. Are you cold, man?
Yeah, I am.
You're not in any trouble, are you?
No.
You're not running from the cops or anything like that?
Oh, no.
No? All right. And you walked all the way out here from...
I had a friend drop me off.
Okay, that's what it looked like by the tracks. They drop you off up here by the barn?
Out down this way.
Did you walk in my driveway or come in another way?
I'm not sure, sir. I've had a rough night.
Let me give you my jacket. I got an extra jacket here.
Oh, that'd be great, sir. Thank you.
And let me see, make sure everything's all right at your house there. There ain't nothing, bad going on.
No. I didn't have women on.
Well, I suppose. All right, here.
Thank you, sir.
How come you're covering your face?
Oh, I'm just trying to stay warm, sir. She took everything I had, kind of left me high and dry.
All right, put that on, man, the right way. You want to come sit in my truck for a minute?
No, sir. It's be fine. Thank you, sir.
Can I see your face? So I know who you are? You're on my property. I mean, are you all right, man?
Don't take no pictures of me, sir.
All right, well, I just want to know that you ain't trying to steal something, that's all.
No.
The stranger claimed that a friend had dropped him off the night before, which would explain why Capper had spotted the car near his bedroom window. He also said he was only hiding out because he was fighting with his wife. For the most part, he came across as a harmless, down-on-his-luck man who just wanted to get away for a while. But there were also a few strange signs. He kept his face hidden, which could have simply been because he was cold. But when Capper offered to let him sit in the car to warm up, he refused. That didn't really add up, and he also seemed unwilling to have his face on camera. Still, out of kindness, Capper gave him a jacket, gloves, and some cash. After that interaction, Capper went back to his car, kept an eye on the man, and waited for the sheriff to arrive.
All right, looks like they're here. This right here is one of the most dangerous times for a police officer, is making the first contact. Okay? That's one of the most dangerous times. So they're basically going to remove them from the property and go from there. Okay, so the guy was clear, no warrants, and he had a valid driver's license. Okay, and you'll see I turned the camera off in just a second here. That's because when the guy was standing up, he fell down and I had to go and help the deputy get him into the truck. So the sheriff has him. He's going to remove him from the property. I told him he can keep the jacket, hat, and gloves if he's, financially having hardships, and he was very appreciative. I gave the deputy 20 bucks. And buy the guy a hot meal, and he's gonna take him back into town. And of course, I said if everything's legit, if the story is legit. It's always something, man, when you're way out in the sticks. It's always something. And that's the end of that story for now, anyways. Hopefully, guy never shows up again, but I just think it's a little unusual that he lands right back at our place. I don't know if that's a coincidence or not.
As the sheriff escorted the man away, it seemed like the situation had finally come to an end, and Capper was relieved that the trespasser had been removed from his property. For the most part, the whole ordeal made it seem like the man was just down on his luck, and probably harmless. Capper even gave the deputy $20 to buy him a hot meal, and said he wouldn't press charges if the man's story checked out. But that was far from the end of it, because the next day everything took a very dark turn, when Capper discovered a silver car that appeared to be the one from before, completely stuck on his pond dam.
Hey, I just got home and I have a trespasser on our property. It's a silver car parked on our pond dam. The sheriff's on the way. We just removed a trespasser yesterday. Don't know if it's related to him or what. Man, this just pisses me off. I'm tempted to strap one on and frickin' go out there and make contact, but I'll wait for the deputy. This is just unbelievable. I'm waiting here for the sheriff's deputy because they ain't getting away. And I don't know the situation. When he gets here, I'm gonna see if I can run home and grab a pistol, and because he could come off of that pond dam in two directions. The one where we're looking at, and then he'd be out in this field, and then the other one where he went on it was behind the house. He probably ruined our back lawn. No doubt about that, but I mean, I can't believe this car got back there to begin with the ground as crazy as it is. So I'm definitely on high alert. It's one of them times where I gotta go grab a piece. For whatever reason, I don't have one with me. So hopefully the deputy will be here soon. It's the same guy coming that removed the trespasser yesterday.
Although Capper wasn't entirely sure if this silver car was the same one he had noticed from his bedroom the previous night, seeing it stuck there immediately prompted him to call the police and put him on high alert. All of this made no sense at all, especially since the man had claimed that his friend had dropped him off and left that same night. But discovering a similar car on his property also felt like a pretty rare coincidence. Plus, the fact that he had no idea whether someone was still inside, whether the trespasser or his friend had come back, or whether there was some other explanation for the car being there, and all of that only added to his unease. It had gotten to the point that he went back to his house to get his guns, while he waited for the sheriff to arrive at his property again.
Okay, so the deputy wanted to approach it alone, and the car is over there. Definitely wasn't there. Probably stolen. Definitely been in a wreck. He told me just to keep an eye out for him. So I have some backup right there ready to go. So I don't know if they're gonna come in here and watch with me or go around the other way. I just can't believe this stuff. 2 days in a row. Unreal. And we've been here 3 years. 3 years and not had one problem in 2 days in a row. I wouldn't be surprised if that car is smashed there from hitting trees on that pond dam, because it is very, very narrow on there.
4469, this 20 is come back clear, expired to silver 2003 Chevy 4-door. 10-4.
That's the same guy that was here yesterday. Well, that makes sense why I only saw one track. Oh my gosh. Seriously, it's the same guy from yesterday. That car was not there last night, wasn't there this morning.
After the police inspected the car, they found no one inside and confirmed that it belonged to the trespasser. Capper later learned that the car had gotten stuck in the mud and had been completely camouflaged by the snow until the warmer weather exposed it. He eventually used his tractor to pull the car out while speaking with the tow truck driver and the sheriff. However, Capper would soon learn the truth, and it was a lot darker than he expected. The sheriff's department later revealed that the man had admitted to hiding the car there on purpose, and that the whole story about a friend dropping him off had been a lie. He also made up the story about having a wife, and police later confirmed that he was suffering from severe hallucinations and delusions. Even worse, the man had a history of arson and had burned down 3 homes before, and the only reason he wasn't already in prison was that people were too afraid to testify against him. After learning the dark reality of who had been lurking on his homestead, Capper's perspective shifted completely, and one piece of footage he captured before still haunts him to this day.
So I'm going to show you that Mrs. Capper drove right by this guy, and Mrs. Capper got out of her car to take these pictures and send them to me of his footprints, so he could have been literally a very close distance from her if he was in that location. Probably within 3 or 4 feet. This morning when she alerted me to the footprint. This tree you see right here on the right next to the road. That's where he was sitting, right at the base of the tree. And as you come around this corner, that's literally maybe 5 feet, 6 feet from the road. And she did not see him. It was probably a little bit dark, but that's just a reference how close he was that she drove right by him and he was hiding next to that tree.
After this chilling piece of footage, it became brutally clear how close his wife had come to danger. Seeing firsthand how exposed she had been while taking photos in the dark, with that serial arsonist just several feet away, Capper saw the whole situation in a completely different light, and it was genuinely disturbing to think about what could have gone wrong. It also made him realize that the man had seemed calm and harmless at first, even though that clearly wasn't the whole story. For Capper, the biggest lesson was that out in the country, you can't afford to judge danger by appearances alone. Ultimately, he was left with a lingering sense of unease knowing the legal system had failed to keep the man locked up. With the trespasser released after just 4 days, Capper sadly had to accept the reality that the man knew exactly where his homestead was, forcing him to stay hyper-vigilant about the security of his property. The following footage was originally uploaded to the channel Casal WK in the winter of 2024 and captures one of the most shocking incidents ever caught on camera. In the video, Brazilian creator Kessia and her friends were out in a rural part of the Rio Fresco region in Brazil, navigating through the dense, remote river trails in the Amazonian backcountry for what was supposed to be a peaceful afternoon in the forest. Early in the video, she tries her luck at a fishing spot, using worms and small bait fish as live bait. But as hours passed, she sadly didn't catch anything, so she decided to move to a different section of the river. The group then relocated to a tight, heavily covered, muddy area of the riverbank, hoping they could finally catch some freshwater fish. Fortunately, this time her patience paid off, and she suddenly felt something big pull hard on her bait. However, little did she know this wasn't going to be an ordinary fishing trip at all, and what she was about to encounter next would change her day in the most horrifying way possible.
Troquei de ponto, galera. Vamos ver o que é. Ai, olha o tamanho, surubim. Vem cá. Olha, galera. Calma, calma. Olha que troféu. Olha o tamanho do surubim. Que lindo, gente. Tudo doido, tudo doido. Olha o acesso aqui é ruim para pescar, mas no final tá dando certo aí.
As she catches this huge Brazilian catfish, she's more than thrilled and holds it up toward the camera to show off the size. But within seconds, her second fishing line snaps, and she pulls it in to discover a rare double catch, landing 2 catfish at the exact same time.
Nossa! Muito grande. Muito grande. Mais um! Calma, calma, calma. 2 de uma vez, galera. Que bênção. Ó. De uma vez só.
As she holds both catfish in her hands, she's completely over the moon about the rare double catch, excited as she gets ready to use them for lunch. But while attempting to reposition the thrashing catfish, the fish slips out of her grip. For a split second, she loses her focus. Then suddenly everything goes wrong.
Porra! Ai, meu Deus do céu.
Ajuda aqui, Thales.
Ai! Tá doendo demais! Ai!
The moment she lost control of the catfish, she was terrified her catch would escape back into the river, and she lunged down with a bare hand to pin it against the mud. But her hand slammed squarely down onto one of the fish's sharp, rigid pectoral spines. In that instant, the spine punched straight through the side of her finger, pinning her hand to the animal, and she immediately screamed in pain as she saw that the spine had completely pierced through her hand. Knowing how badly she was hurt, Deva, who was filming, immediately stopped adjusting the camera to help, while Thales ran over with a pair of pliers to pull the spine out.
Calma, calma, calma. Calma. Não puxa não, amor. Não tem um alicate quebrar não? Calma, amor, calma, amor.
Ai, dói muito. Ai, solta.
Falei monte sobre o esporão.
With the companions trying their best to remove the catfish, she was screaming in agony, completely unable to move her hand since it was literally impaled to the thrashing fish. Plus, because the spine has backward-facing, saw-like ridges, they couldn't simply pull her hand away without tearing her flesh apart. This forced them to work with extreme care, but with every second that passed and every failed attempt to remove the spine, fresh waves of pain ripped through her, driving the situation into even more desperate territory as they struggled to free her hand.
Falei monte sobre o esporão. Meu Deus.
Toma, solta.
Esse aqui nós temos que comer ele cozido, aí ele fala uma coisa dessa. Calma, quer dizer.
Ai, amor, calma. Pega o oi dele, Thales, pra não esfregar em cima. Tem que tirar o esporão aqui, ó. Calma, amor, calma. Furou o osso?
Furou.
Pega o oi dele.
Acontece, tem que tomar atenção, gente. Caralho.
After those agonizing attempts, she was finally free from the fish, but the wound was immediately throbbing and heavily swollen, and the worst part was that the embedded piece of the spine was still there. Since they couldn't simply pull the entire fish off as it was impaled into her finger, they had to hold it steady and use pliers to snap the rigid spine completely off the catfish's body. This freed Kessia from the weight of the thrashing fish, but left just the broken spine fragment sticking out of both sides of her finger. What made this especially dangerous was that catfish spines carry specialized mucus and bacteria from the water, meaning the deep puncture put her at immediate risk for a severe infection. With her still crying out in excruciating pain and knowing the risks, the men immediately used a traditional Amazonian folk remedy to neutralize the venom.
Cuidado, tá doendo.
Couro sai de um lado e saiu do outro.
Mas eu falo pra vocês, presta atenção. Presta atenção na hora de pescar, não faça igual eu, não vacila. Porque dói, cara, dói muito. Que é isso?
Deixa eu colocar pra eliminar as outras. Só virar a mão assim.
Dói muito. Gente, então tchau. Até o próximo vídeo, tá bom? Fui, fiquei por aqui. Já tá bom, não vai ter caldo não.
As the men applied the traditional remedy, Kessia's pain began to ease slightly, but the damage was already severe, and even after removing the spine fragment, the injury left her hand unstable and unable to move normally, with swelling continuing to spread up her hand. She later explained that the pain was unbearable at first, and she cried from how badly it hurt, but the folk remedy helped calm the worst of it. Once the immediate crisis was managed, they packed up and left before nightfall, heading back to their property in the forest. Since they were in a remote part of Brazil where the nearest hospital was hours away, they decided to treat her at home, with a hospital trip as a backup if things worsened. Back at their property, she cleaned and bandaged the wound, then took antibiotics and a tetanus shot to fight the catfish's toxic mucus and waterborne pathogens, ensuring proper healing. After everything that happened, this story does end on a positive note. The barbed spine fragments had completely missed her bones and tendons, so the tissue healed cleanly, allowing her to make a full recovery without further medical intervention and safely return to the water for her next fishing trip. The following footage was uploaded to the channel Jeffrey Johnson in December of 2024. In the video, the creator Jeff set out into the Arizona backcountry, expecting a low-stress day of filming and scouting. But almost immediately, things did not go his way, and the deeper he went, the stranger the day became. Early on, while flying his drone to capture aerial shots, the signal suddenly cut out, and the drone dropped from the sky, vanishing somewhere out in the scrub. Not exactly the ideal beginning to a peaceful day of exploration. After tracking it down on foot, he followed the last GPS location and found the drone resting beside a huge opening in the ground, a mine shaft hidden in the middle of nowhere that looked like something ripped straight out of a movie. He recovered the drone, which was surprisingly still intact, but that gaping hole immediately stole his attention. Jeff eventually stepped closer to the edge and began shining his flashlight into the darkness below. However, as he was trying to make out what was hidden inside, everything changed, and what started as a simple attempt to retrieve a broken drone began to twist into something far more disturbing.
So I did something stupid. I turned off I made the drone go as fast as it could, which means it turns off the obstacle avoidance sensors. Oh crap. Looks like it's okay. Yeah, look, it's like standing right up. Ooh, really gotta be careful around these things. Whoa. Oh wow, that's a deep one. Look, it's got the little brace thing. You check a rock in. Rock! It looks pretty deep. Ouch! You know, I started looking down there and I couldn't really see anything, but then I realized I have a flashlight in my backpack. Forgot, I have a flashlight in my bag. Oh well. Yep. It's pretty deep.
The moment he looked down into that massive hole, all he could see at first was pure darkness, and for a second it seemed like there was nothing down there at all. But curiosity quickly got the better of him, and he kept peering into the shaft, slowly adjusting his angle and trying to catch even the smallest hint of movement or detail through the blackness below. The deeper he stared, the more uneasy the whole thing felt, because this was no ordinary opening in the ground. It felt too deep and silent, and far too hidden away to be harmless. However, just when it seemed like he was looking into nothing but an empty mine, something in the distance began to stand out, and what he saw next made the entire situation feel wrong instantly.
So I shined the flashlight down and I could see something down there. It looked like tarps. I see like these two outlines in the tarps that look like body bags. Can't tell what that is, a tarp or something? I was like, oh, this is freaky. Like, no, this is just tarps or something. But then I was thinking, this is kind of way far out there. What if somebody, did something really bad and stashed, bodies down there? Kind of thought, am I being watched? Is this like a super dangerous area that I didn't know about?
There was indeed something down that hole, two black plastic bags lying right next to each other, and from where he was standing, it looked like there was something packed inside them. Given the way the bags were positioned, the remote location, and how full they appeared, Jeff started to suspect the worst. In his mind, these looked like body bags, dumped there by someone trying to hide evidence deep out in the desert. It was a disturbing thought to have, and once it took hold, it only got harder to shake. The more he stared at those bags, the more real that possibility felt, and his instincts told him something was seriously wrong. At that point, what he was looking at no longer felt like a random find in an abandoned mine. It felt like he may have just stumbled onto something he was never supposed to see.
So I was like, I'm just gonna kind of get out of here. So I hiked down to this wash and out, get back to my e-bike and on back to my car. As I was driving away, I was thinking, that was kind of weird. Should I tell somebody about this? What should I do? And the more I thought about it, I think it was like the next day or so, or 2 days later, that I was like, okay, I gotta tell somebody about this. So after I came home, I think I waited a day and I was just kind of thinking about it, thinking, as our minds do, like we think of the worst possible things sometimes. And I was just like, I can't get this out of my mind. I was going through my pictures and I was zooming in and I was like, this looks like body bags. And I don't know what's going on, and maybe it's best for me to just report this anyway. I feel stupid, but my gut says it might be the right thing to do.
After realizing how serious the situation had become, Jeff couldn't shake the feeling that he had stumbled onto a crime scene, so he emailed the pictures and location to the Bureau of Land Management. From there, the report was quickly escalated to the local sheriff's department, who launched a search and rescue operation to investigate the mine shaft. At that point, This was no longer just a strange discovery in the desert. With officers and search teams getting involved, the entire situation had taken on a far more unsettling tone. But the real twist was still ahead, and when police later told Jeff what they had found inside those bags, it was not what he had been expecting at all.
So the land is owned by the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management. Finally got through to somebody, and I was like, hey, I was the one that reported those bags in that mine shaft. And this is what they said.
The officer I spoke with shared the final outcome with me. This week, YCSO responded to a mysterious report of a disturbing scene inside a mine shaft off of Bumblebee Road. Accompanying the report were pictures of what could have been a crime scene, straight out of the Sopranos TV show. The unknown reporting person said they thought there were bodies in bags down a vertical mine shaft. Once the location from the report, YCSO deputies confirmed the bags from the photos were indeed inside the dark shaft. Once inside, the team found that removing the tarps from the bags was not a simple task due to the way they were secured in place. After some effort, the contents underneath were finally uncovered, with all involved bracing for a nasty crime scene. However, our seasoned criminal investigators did not stumble upon a Sopranos body dump site. So what was down in that dark mine shaft? It was just bags full of food. And yes, you read that right.
So I was super relieved. Like, I was just so happy. And for me, being new in this area, a mine shaft, I was all alone. Like, this is kind of far out there. Like, just those things alone made me think, I gotta at least report this, and they can figure out if it's something they want to see or not. And I'm glad they did, because now we know it's just somebody's food stash. Like, isn't that crazy? Like, it just ended up being food.
The police later informed Jeff that the black bags were not body bags at all. Instead, they were still full of supplies that had been left down there by people preparing for doomsday. For Jeff, this came as a huge relief, especially after spending days stressed out and convinced he had stumbled onto something far more sinister. What he thought might have been a crime scene turned out to be nothing more than a strange hidden stash. In the end, the bags didn't contain human remains, and Jeff closed the video by admitting how relieved he was that reality turned out to be far less horrifying than his worst fears, and that what started as a simple walk through the desert had spiraled into a discovery he would never forget.